Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be starting a new chapter, that is motion in a plane. So before we start this chapter, let us just revise what are scalars and vectors. So scalars are physical quantities that have only magnitude and no direction. Okay, so like examples for scalar are mass, density, and then distance. All of these are scalars, right? Now let us talk about vectors. So basically this chapter will deal with vectors. So this is very important that you know vectors have both magnitude and direction. Examples: velocity, weight. Remember, mass and weight are two different quantities. We will see more about this in gravitation, acceleration, and you have many others. Okay, so now we have seen that if we want to discuss about direction, right, so now you can forget about scalars and now focus only on vectors, because we will be dealing with vector quantities in this chapter. So in one dimensional or two dimensional motion, if I have to give the direction, I used to say it is in positive direction or it is moving in negative direction. Even if it was going vertically, we had given a sign convention. But we live in a three-dimensional world. So now I will give you the diagrammatic representation of motion in a plane or in three dimensions. So now you all know about this system, which is the Cartesian system, right? So it has x-axis, y-axis, negative x-axis and negative y-axis. But to describe motion in a plane or motion in three dimensions, we will have to talk about a new kind of a Cartesian plane, which will have x, y and the z axis. Okay, so this is how the representation will look like: x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. It may not be clear from the picture, but three of them are perpendicular to each other. So that means this is 90, this is 90 and this is also 90. Here you will require a lot of imagination. Now let me tell you about some important terms, and let us start with a vector. How will I describe a vector in a plane? Let us say this is a vector. Okay, this line is my a vector. This is the x-axis, z-axis, and this is the y-axis. Now pay attention here, because this is a very important concept. So now this component, the x component of a vector, is known as ax. All vectors are represented with an arrow above their head to represent direction. That does not mean if something is going in this direction, you will put an arrow here, and if something is going in this direction, you will put an arrow here. No. All vectors are represented with arrow on their head. Something like this, always in this direction, no matter which direction the vector is going in. So this is x component of a, that is ax vector. Z component of a is a z vector, and y component of a is a y vector. In the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So these are the different components. Another term I would like to introduce is unit vector. A vector is not a vector if there is no unit vector in it. So value of unit vector will be 1, obviously, because unit means 1. So you can represent it by any letter and then put a cap on it. Okay, so vector is represented by an arrow mark and unit vector is represented by a cap. The unit vector for x-axis is I cap, unit vector for y-axis is j cap, and unit vector for z axis is k cap. If we talk about the negative x axis, it will be minus I cap, negative y axis it will be minus j cap, and negative z axis it will be minus k cap. Sign conventions are same, just here we are introducing some new terms. So what is a unit vector? I will explain after I have completed explaining you this diagram. We will have a separate subtopic as unit vector. So this is a unit vector. So overall, every time you write a vector, you will have a unit vector associated to it, right? So what is a unit vector for Ax? It is I cap. Okay. For Ay, it is j cap. And for Az, it is k cap. Okay. These are the unit vectors associated with different components. So I hope this part is clear. So now if I were to write, I said that every time you write a vector, you will write an associating unit vector with it. Right? So a vector can be described as magnitude of that vector into unit vector. This is the overall definition of a vector. A vector is the magnitude of that physical quantity into a unit vector. Similarly, Ax vector can be written as magnitude of this component into I cap. Ay vector can be written as magnitude of this quantity into j cap. And Az vector will be written as magnitude of this quantity into k cap. So if you remember this, it will be helpful in everything. It will come up in everything. So note this down. Now let us discuss in depth about unit vector. So this is a very important concept. So if this is not clear, your questions will not be clear and they will not be easier to solve. But once this is clear, you will be able to solve questions very quickly. So what is a unit vector? A unit vector is basically the ratio of the vector to the magnitude of the vector. Okay, I hope it's clear. Let me repeat. Unit vector is the ratio of the vector to the magnitude of the vector. The formula I will be giving you soon. Now let me just define it in an easier way. It basically gives direction to any physical quantity. So like I said before, a vector is not a vector if it does not have a unit vector. That basically means that if you remove a unit vector from a vector quantity, you will be left with a scalar. That means you will have no direction. I have said this before, but this is how you will put it into wording. Alright, and this unit vector will have the same direction as the vector. It is in the same direction as the vector quantity. Which means if my A vector is in this direction, my A cap will also be in this direction only. Just note these points down and I am going to give you the formula for how to find the unit vector. Now let us see the formula for unit vector. That is, this is just the formula, so you have to remember it. There is no specific derivation for this formula. So here vector quantity is given by the sum of different vector quantity of x component, y component and z component, and then the magnitude of the vector is given by under root x component square plus y component square plus z component square. That means I can write it as ax into I cap. I'm removing the vector. So if you remove this arrow mark, you have to put a unit vector. Slowly you will understand all of this, but just note this down. Plus ay j cap plus az k cap whole by, this will remain the same, root of ax square plus ay square plus az square. Note this formula down and get ready for a question. Before we start solving this question, I would like you to look at this Rubik's Cube and try to imagine the x, y and z axis. If you take this point, this is your x axis, this is your y axis, and this is the z axis. Now you can see that they are mutually perpendicular to each other, right? So this is xz is perpendicular, yx is perpendicular, and yz is also perpendicular. So basically we call this as xy plane, this as xz plane, and this as yz plane. You will learn more about this in maths, where you have a chapter called three-dimensional geometry. You will be able to visualize it better. Now let us get on to solve this question. So we have to find the unit vector for a given vector. So vector has been given to us. Now see here, let me tell you how you will be able to visualize this question. 4, so if I have a vector, something like this. The x component is I cap, I said, right? So this is 4 I cap minus 3 j cap. So it is in the downward direction, minus 3 j cap. But don't worry about the direction right now. Just take a look at, don't worry about the sign conventions. Plus k cap, that means positive z direction. K cap means 1 is the magnitude, and then k cap is the unit vector. Now I have just given you the formula of a unit vector, which is vector to the magnitude of the vector. How did we write this? We wrote this as ax into I cap plus ay into j cap plus az into k cap whole by root of ax square plus ay square plus az square. So I cap will be I cap and ax is actually 4. Similarly, ay is 3 and az is 1. So I hope it is clear. So when you are solving these questions in the beginning, it is better that you write all the components down. Ay is 3. Now you must be thinking, why I am not writing minus 3? Because here direction is j cap. So here minus j cap is your direction. Okay, but magnitude will be positive only. And az is 1. So unit vector, so here it will be 4 I cap minus 3 j cap, or you can write it as plus of minus j cap. But anyways, you will have to open this at some point. So we will put this like this. And then plus k cap. I am not writing 1 k cap. I am assuming that you have understood. By root of, what is ax square? Ax is 4, so ax square is 16. Plus, what is ay square? Ay is 3, so it is 9. Plus az is 1, so az square is 1 only. This is 25 plus 1 is 26. So 4 I cap minus 3 j cap plus k cap whole by root 26. This is your answer. This is the unit vector. So now let me brief you about position vector. Okay. So if I have a plane, just imagine xy plane. I told you we have 3 planes, xy, yz and xz. So here I have the xy plane. So now I have, this is my origin, and from origin to a point, arbitrary point P, I have a vector. Let us name it as P vector. So here P vector is known as the position vector. Usually we don't call it as P vector. The common representation of a position vector is R vector. It gives the position of point P in a plane. Okay, so a vector that gives the position of a point P from the origin in any plane is known as a position vector. Now let us discuss some types of vectors. First one, we have equal vectors. So by the name you can say these vectors which are equal in magnitude and in direction. You can note it down. Vectors which are equal in magnitude and direction are said to be equal vectors. Okay, so say A vector, B vector. If A vector is equal to B vector, then magnitude of A vector should be equal to magnitude of B vector, and their directions must also be the same. Second, we have unequal vectors. If two vectors in the same direction, they are said to be unequal vectors if their magnitudes are not same but their directions are the same. Next, we have negative vectors. Negative vectors are those vectors which are same in magnitude, or they may or may not be same in magnitude, but they are always opposite in direction. If this is going in plus I cap, this will be in minus I cap. Next, we have co-initial vectors. Co-initial vectors are those which have the same starting point and then they go in any direction. Or they may be equal, they may not be equal, that is not the point, but they will have a common starting point. So for instance, if O is my starting point for P vector and also for Q vector, then P and Q are said to be co-initial, same starting point. Collinear vectors are those vectors that have they can have equal magnitude or they can have unequal magnitude, and they will always act parallel to each other. They may be in the same direction, not in the same direction, may have magnitude equal or may not have equal magnitude, but they will always be parallel to each other. Next is localized vector. So they have a fixed starting point. So I tell that this A will always start from O. Then A will always start from O. It cannot change its position anywhere. So it can increase or decrease in size, but its starting point will always be O. Non-localized vectors, they are free to move. Okay, they are free to go anywhere. They are also called as, so because of this reason they are called as free vectors. Okay, so I can have my A from O, but if A does not want to start from O and it is a non-localized vector, A can also start from R. Okay, so I hope these points are clear. We have two more types of vectors, that are polar vectors and axial vectors. I will be showing you the differences in a while. Note this down. Now let us see the difference between two kinds of vectors. First one being polar vector and the second one being the axial vector. So polar vectors have a point of application, means they have a specific starting point. Don't get confused between localized vectors and polar vectors. Polar vectors are a bit different. Just remember that they have a point of application or a starting point that may be fixed or that may not be fixed. Example, displacement and velocity. Before going through these points, let me also compare to axial vectors. Axial vectors represent a rotational effect. Okay, so more about these vectors you will study in a physics chapter called rotational motion, that will be covered in the future lectures, and they act along the axis of rotation. What is the axis of rotation? Basically, if anything is rotating, we consider an imaginary axis. Okay, then we say that the object is rotating around the axis. That also will be covered in rotational motion only, or rotational dynamics. Example, angular displacement and angular velocity. This is a new term, right? Let me explain you why we are adding this term. whenever anything rotates, it is not rotating like this motion, and this motion is different, right? Here some angle is being made, so we'll just add angular here. Okay, just notice almost same terms, just this word is extra, angular. Velocity, you know, is distance by time, displacement by time. Here angular velocity is, this is nothing but angular displacement. Theta is angular displacement by time. Similar, just instead of displacement we have angular displacement. Okay, acceleration is velocity by time. Here angular acceleration is angular velocity by time. This is linear momentum, which is equal to mv. Here angular momentum is equal to m into angular velocity. This is normal velocity, this is angular velocity. Now in rotational dynamics you will learn that this value is equal to Vr, where V is the velocity of the object and R is the position vector. But all this will be covered later. Just for now, remember that axial vectors represent rotational motion. If you want, I will just write down a short note about what all these quantities are, or you can just try to remember them. This is angular velocity or frequency, angular frequency. This is angular displacement and this is angular acceleration. Note these differences down, they will be helpful in the chapter of rotational dynamics. So now here's a quick note. If you multiply a vector into a scalar quantity, what will you get? So if I have, say for a vector, I have 5 meter, this is my displacement, 5 meter north, okay, in this direction, that is in positive j cap. Start comparing normal stuff to this, then it will become easier. So 5 meter north. Now I multiply to a scalar, say 2. So it will become 2 into 5, which is 10 meter. But multiplying a scalar quantity does nothing to the direction. So it is still 10 meter north. Now what if in this case I multiplied by minus 2? Now see here, minus itself is a direction. So it will give me minus 10 meter north. So this has no meaning. Minus 10 I cap can be written as 10 into minus I cap, right? So here in the case of north and this thing, it is j cap. So let us take it for j cap. Similar case will come. Now it will become 10 meter south. Okay. Take north as j cap. So minus j cap will be south. I hope this point is clear. Let me repeat it again. Minus 10 j cap can be written as 10 into minus j cap. If j cap is north, then minus j cap will be south. Now it is clear. So if sign of the real value changes, sign of the scalar changes, then the direction of the vector will also change. Alright? So just now you saw what happens when a scalar is multiplied to a vector. But what if I want to multiply a vector quantity to another vector quantity? Say for instance 4i cap into 3j cap or something like that. I want to multiply these two and get a resultant vector quantity. What will I write? Will I write I cap in the result, j cap, or will I write k cap in the result? Okay, for this I'll just draw a diagram at the corner before I start to explain. I cap, right? This is I cap, this is j cap, and this is k cap. You will be able to understand why I have drawn it this way soon. So when I want to multiply two vector quantities, I have two different methods. The first is the dot product and the second is the cross product. So there are two vector multiplication methods. When do I use dot product? When do I use cross product? Let me start to explain it. The first one is dot product. Dot product is usually used when I have two parallel vectors. Something like this. Okay, so in general, my dot product is written as if I have two vectors A and B. It is given as A vector dot B vector. This is the representation. And what is the value of it? It is magnitude of A vector into magnitude of B vector cos theta. Okay, what is theta? Theta is the angle between A vector and B vector. So I said before, usually when two vectors are parallel, in a question if it is given two vectors are parallel, okay, and find something related to them, you will usually use dot product. It does not mean that always for any parallel vectors you have to use dot product, but generally, that is the general idea. And for any two products, you can use dot product. Now, how will you calculate dot product? For that, you need to know what is I dot I, J dot J, and K cap dot K cap. Okay, and then what is I into J cap? Sorry, I dot J cap. Like I had given in the first question, if I want to find the product of 3I into 4J or something like that. So what will I write? Then J cap dot K cap and K cap dot I cap. What will be the answer of this? So if two same unit vectors are being multiplied through dot product, their answer will be 1. When two non-similar ones are being multiplied through dot product, their product will be 0. Keep this in mind. So I dot J cap will be 0. J cap dot K cap will be 0. K cap dot I cap will be 0. I cap dot I cap will be 1. J cap dot J cap will also be 1 and K cap dot K cap will be 1. So A vector dot B vector can be written as AX plus AY plus AZ, right? This is the representation of A vector. We've already seen this. Hope you don't have any doubt. Dot Bx vector plus By vector plus Bz vector. I hope it is clear. Then how will I write Ax vector as? Ax into I cap. This is not dot here. Ax I cap plus Ay J cap plus Az K cap, right? Dot Bx I cap plus By J cap plus Bz K cap. Now let us see how will we multiply this part. So A vector dot B vector will be, now here use simple multiplication rules. Ax I cap dot Bx I cap. I cap into I cap is 1, so it will be Ax into Bx plus Ax I cap into By J cap. Sorry, not into dot. So Ax I cap dot By J cap, but you know I cap dot J cap is 0, so this term will not exist. Again, Ax I cap dot Bz K cap will not exist, as I cap dot or K cap dot I cap is 0, so it will not exist. Now let us go for the second term. Ay J cap dot Bx I cap. Here also J cap is being dot product to I cap, so it will not exist. If I dot J cap is 0, then by common sense J cap dot I cap will also be 0, so this term will not exist. Ay into By, this will exist because here also J cap is there and here also J cap is there. So Ay. Similarly, For the third term, you will get only AZ, BZ. So this is your dot product. And what is this equal to? This is equal to AB cos theta. We can write it as AB cos theta like this also. Okay. So these two will be equal. You will equate them for any numerical. This is how you will solve them. Now let us see the cross product. So this is the second type of multiplication of two vectors. This is the second method. This is generally, I repeat, generally applied only for perpendicular vectors. It can be applied for other vectors, but whenever you see a numerical and it is saying two vectors are acting perpendicular to each other, you will usually apply cross product. So cross product means A vector cross B vector is given as magnitude of A vector into magnitude of B vector sine theta n cap. N cap is unit vector. So if you write it or you don't write it, the value or the magnitude remains same, but for direction, as I have already said, writing this becomes necessary. So now see this diagram, and I will write some points, and then with the help of this diagram it will be more clear. So I cap cross I cap is 0. Okay, this you have to remember. J cap cross J cap is also 0. K cap cross K cap is also 0. Now what about I cap cross J cap? I cap cross J cap is K cap. Okay. But if I invert, what if I do J cap cross I cap? J cap cross I cap is equal to minus K cap. Similarly, J cap cross K cap is J cap cross K cap is I cap. But if I invert it, means if I do K cap cross J cap, I will get minus I cap. Last one, K cap cross I cap. See, K cap cross I cap is equal to J cap. But if I do I cap cross J cap, then I will get I cap cross K cap, I will get minus J cap. So note these formulae, they will be useful when we try to solve and find the value of this cross product. So I hope you have noted them down. I will just erase them since I need more space. Right. So just like dot product, first we will just expand this. That is AX I cap plus AY J cap plus AZ K cap cross BX I cap plus BY J cap plus BZ K cap. For easier evaluation, there is a technique or method we will be using. Just draw two lines here, and now you will get I cap. Here you will write it as minus J cap, and here you will get K cap. This is just a sign convention, and it is a formula. There is no specific derivation for your course, so just remember it as a formula. Here write the I cap components, that is AX and BX. So I write AX and BX. Similarly, don't see the minus, just write the J cap components, that is AY and BY. Similarly, write the K cap components AZ and BZ. Now let us evaluate this function. So when we are finding I cap components, we will write it as multiplication of AY into BZ and then minus AZ into BY. So AY BZ minus AZ BY. Minus of J cap. J cap components will be given by multiplication of this with this component minus this and into this. So AX BZ minus AZ BX plus K cap. What are the K cap components will be given by this term into this term minus this term into this term. So ax by minus ay bx. I hope this part is clear. Now we'll just simplify it. There's nothing much to do, which means I cap into ay bz minus az by plus j cap. I am taking the minus inside, az bx minus ax bz plus k cap into ax by minus ay bx. Just note this formula down, and after this let us solve some numericals. Here's a quick note because most of you must have been confused by now. So if you are finding I component, okay, here you will just cancel out this column and this row. So you are left with these components. You will multiply this and then you will subtract the product of these two components. Similarly, when you are doing it for the j component, you will remove this column and this row. So you are left with only these four components. So you will multiply this with this and subtract the product of these two components. And then similarly for k cap, what you will do is you will remove this column and this row, and what you are left is with these four elements: ax, ay, bx, by, right? So you will multiply these two and subtract the product of these two from it. So this is a much more easier way. I hope you understood. Okay, now let us try to solve this numerical. There are two ways where you can approach, and so which formula you have to use, sometimes you may get confused. First approach is that it is already given that this is the perpendicular distance, right? So the first thought that might come to your mind is cross product, and you are absolutely correct in this case. Sometimes it may happen that you have to use dot product, but in this case you are absolutely correct because the formula for torque you will learn in rotational motion again, but the formula for torque is F vector cross R vector. Okay, so either of the approaches you are right that you have to use cross product in this case. So let us solve this numerical. So F cross R, let me just write it: 3i cap minus 4j cap plus 4k cap cross 2i cap minus 4j cap minus 4k cap. I have just written it in this form. Now let us use our formula. So here I cap minus j cap and then k cap. So let us write the components of I cap, that is 3 and 2. Then j cap components are minus 4 and again minus 4. Okay. K cap components are plus 4 and plus 4. Carefully observe. Whatever is here, I have just written it in this form as per the formula. Now once you've noted that down, so sorry, there's a mistake here. This is minus 4k cap, so minus 4. Now let us use the formula and solve. So for I cap, I said just cancel this column and cancel this row. So you are left with 4 components. So yet minus 4 into minus 4 is plus 16. Minus of minus 4 into minus 4 is minus 16. So yet 16 plus 16 minus j cap into. So for j cap you will cancel this row and this column and this row, and then you are left with these 4 components. So 3 into minus 4 is minus 12 minus 8 plus k cap. Now for k cap we will cancel this column and this row. So we are left with only these 4 components. So 3 into minus 4 is minus 12. Minus of minus 8 is plus 8. 4 into minus 2. Minus 4 into 2. And now we get 32 I cap plus 20 j cap on simplification minus 4 k cap. So what does this give us? This gives us the torque. Okay. So here is your final answer. I hope you are clear with this question, and now let us go for the second numerical. Hope you've read the question correctly. Now let us try to solve this. So it is here also there are two approaches. So first is by the logical approach, which is when you apply force to any object and the displacement is also taking place. It is usually parallel. So force is applied like this and the displacement takes place like this. So you must be thinking that is dot product. You're absolutely right. But according to the formula as well, work is equal to force dot displacement, or work is equal to Fs cos theta. So since here angle is not given, so we cannot use this formula, we will be using the standard calculations. So F vector dot S vector equal to, let us write them down, 3i cap minus 2j cap plus 7k cap dot 4i cap plus 3j cap plus 2k cap. Now let us solve this. So we know that when we had a vector dot b vector, here we remember I cap dot I cap will always be 1 and rest others are 0. So 3 into 4 is 12 plus, you will get this into this, right? That will be minus 6. So here you will observe one thing, whenever there is a dot product, all the directions have gone, all the unit vectors have just vanished, because I cap into I cap dot I cap is 1 and I cap dot j cap or j cap dot k cap, all of them are 0. So here whenever there is a dot product, the result will always be a scalar. You know that work is a scalar quantity, so whenever you have a dot product, your result will be scalar. Note this down. We will have many numericals where it will not be given whether you have to solve it by dot product or cross product, but if it is given that on having a product of two quantities you are getting a scalar result, then for sure it is dot product. Okay, so in dot product you will get a scalar quantity as your answer. Let us continue. Then we'll have 7 into 2, which is 14. On simplification we get 12 minus 6 plus 14, which is 26 minus 6, which is 20. So 20 joules, kilojoules. Since no units are given to us in this question, I'm just keeping it as 20. But obviously if units are given, you will have to add the unit. So this is the value of work done. Thank you so much for watching this video. That is it. I will be posting the next part of the video soon. This chapter is a bit lengthy, so there will be many parts to this chapter and there will be so many numericals as I promised in the last lectures that I had given for motion in a straight line. This chapter is interesting, a bit tricky, but you will get it once you solve a lot of questions. If you like this video, do not forget to like, subscribe, share this video with all of your friends, and hope to see you soon in my next video. Thank you. Bye.